We're going to get right into it. Why? Because my wife is in the other room yelling at me because I've been in here for too long. So we have to get into it. Today's lift is kind of an interesting one. It was an interesting day. I look like a wet dog and I desperately need a haircut. I'm starting to scare the people around me, which is something I have to accept. Bench press was a goddamn disaster today. Why was it a disaster? Dude, look at my head. Look at my head. It was a disaster because you'll see right here, this is not 145, this is 155. This guy was right up in my peripheral vision, right? He's way more close to me than you think he is. Two, and I felt it. It was supposed to be three. It was supposed to be 5 sets of 3. But I felt it right out of the gate that it was just a little too heavy. And I needed a spotter, and I didn't want to use a spotter for every set. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's not how it works. So this is, again, me doing 155. And I thought, you know what, let me feel it out for 2 reps instead of 3 again. And you'll see that I really decide, no. I'm playing it very safe, and you're going to notice, like, as this goes on, that I'm playing it as safe as I can, because I don't really care about this aspect of it as much as I care about everything else. So the goal here is always to get a little stronger if I can and not get injured. Those are the 2 things I'm trying to do. I'm not really thinking about any other results. Yeah, I look like an animal crawled on my head and died. But I like having long hair. I know it's bad. I know. So dropped here, you see I'm down at 145, and I spend a lot of these sets just thinking about form, trying to figure it out. Are my arms a little too far apart? Are they a little too close? I'm trying to play with it. Yeah, I mean, every lift is so short, these 2 reps, it's like nothing. Again, it's hard to feel in my chest, but when I do feel, when I dropped the weight, I became more stable, and it was significantly easier for me to hit every rep and kind of feel it in my chest as opposed to in my arms. That's why I dropped the weight so quickly. I immediately felt that I was like twisting my arm into the motion to try and get it up, which I don't want. All I want to be is stable. All I want to be is stable and clean in almost every rep. But I don't hate the form at this point. I don't feel terrible about it. Why am I wearing gym shorts over gym pants? There's a lot going on with my outfit. All right, I'm wearing multiple layers of pants and shorts, and I don't really know why, and I don't really want to tell you why. There's a lot, you know, I'm allowed to have my secrets. Okay. Great shot, great angle. I look good. Everyone loves that. Let's see. What else? I mean, it was a good lift. It's just one of those days, you know, where you're going through the motions. It wasn't a particular, like, I wasn't fired up. I wasn't beat down. You got to have these days that kind of just pass. And, you know, there's nothing particularly notable. But the bench ends up being okay. I feel good about it. I'm going to keep it at 6 and 2 for a while. Next week, I'll go up 5 pounds again. I'll go to 150. Keep it at 6 sets of 2. And ideally, we'll blaze through that. But, yeah, it was like, that's what it is. What else? As an aside, my desk broke today. My desk broke. I know I'm interrupting the lift, but my desk broke. How does a desk break? Well, you'd think it splits in half, but no, I have a standing desk. Not that I ever stand. And the little electronic box just stopped working, so for a while there, my desk just was too low to the ground for me to sit at. So I reached a point technologically where my desk was, a physical object wasn't working. I don't know how to get into how frustrated it was. It doesn't matter. Squat, 3 sets of 10. Squat, 3 sets of 10. 105 pounds. This is a bit of redemption. Last week, or last time I did this, if you saw the video, I felt a little weirdness in my left knee. I've since corrected my form quite a bit from there. You'll see I still kind of wink in the front. I still kind of am doing these little hip thrusts at the top. Hard habit to break. What happened last week was I think I just wasn't pushing my knees out far enough, but all of these were clean, man. All of these were nice. They were proper depth, felt straight, felt good. The last set is definitely the best on these. The last set, I really found that perfect lower back zone where for the bar itself, and you could see in my hand and arm position in the last set are really, that's when I really felt it. And you could tell the last set was also the easiest set for me. Today, did I feel particularly motivated? No. Did I not want to go? Was I like, you know, scratching myself in frustration? No. It was a normal, nothing kind of as I said, just one that passes by this lift. Yeah, these are all just fine. Like, this is just 3 sets of 10, 105. I'm going to go up, obviously. Won't be a problem. Felt good, no pain anywhere. Felt right. More sound effects? Should I do more? That's the noise I'm making. That's the other noise I make when I squat. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do. Yeah, this is solid. This is fine. You go to the gym, you pick up the weight, you throw it around. You think, why am I doing this? Is everyone looking at me? No. I'm freaking out. Here, look at this. This is where I felt a great... Yeah, the bar position there is so solid. So solid. I got to replicate this every time. Hands and arms look great. Take it super slow just to feel it out in the beginning. Yeah, these are just great. If every single squat I ever do looks like this, I'll be a happy man. And yes, I get into a little bit of a rhythm at the top, or I'm kind of humping the air at the end. I should be more cautious about that, but still felt good about these, you know. Try to pick it up a little bit, pick up the pace when I finish out the set here. How was it? 30 reps. Easy peasy, you know, about a minute or so between each set. So I did some assisted pull-ups today, dropped down to 67-pound assist. It was okay. I didn't do 5 sets. I failed out after 3 sets, as you'll see. These are brutal. These are tough. And you'll see I actually feel a little weird in my shoulder towards the end of the last set that I do. You can kind of see me going through the motions of deciding, yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore. But I'm trying to get, you know, as much of the full range of motion here. I'm trying not to, you know, wimp out on any of these reps. Focusing, thinking about how far I've come in life and how far I have to go and how terrible I feel in my hair and my head and how ridiculous I look. Who's the most confidently thin-haired man? That's really the approach to life I've taken. 1, 2. Trying not to cheat them too much. And here, I start thinking about it. Does my shoulder feel weird? It does feel weird. That one felt weird. And I kind of move it to check it out. I do, I swear. Right? Now I'm jiving now. Now I'm like, oh man, I'm dancing in my head. Right there, I move my shoulder. I feel it. I give it one little more check. And I go, nope, nope. That's how safe we're playing it here, kids. That's how safe we're playing it, folks. I feel one weird thing and I go, I'm not doing that anymore. I can wait. It's just not important enough to me right now. There's too much at stake, you know? So I'm not crushing myself to dust. Especially my shoulders. A little story about my shoulder. We're going to drop this. Oh, yes, cardio. Today I didn't do the bike and I didn't do the treadmill because I went for a run. Why? Because I left the gym feeling a little unfulfilled. I felt like my energy levels weren't too crazy. I didn't sweat that much. As great as the squats felt, and as much as I was able to recover the bench by dropping the weight and doing 6 sets of 2, I still felt a little unfulfilled. So I left the gym and I just started running, and I did a little run, a little 15-minute run, interval running, by the way. I didn't run 15 minutes straight. I ran for a minute or two, stopped, ran for a minute or two, stopped. Immediately, the moment I started running, I was like, I don't know, this sucks. But I did that instead. Got to work on finding like better ways of showing these things, but I did go for a run today, which felt like a great, you know, little finish, little panache at the end of the day. So that was a bit of a recovery. But my shoulder, the reason I am the reason I'm so apprehensive about my shoulder is I was in a crash, a kind of motorcycle crash. Now, not really a motorcycle, as my brother used to love to point out, or has been pointed out to me, but these massive motorbikes that they have in parts of East Asia and everywhere else in the world. But they're not like little mopeds that you deliver food on. They go 120 miles an hour, and they're huge and they're extremely heavy. And I was driving one with a couple friends that I had met in Kenting, Taiwan, which is like a vacation spot for the Taiwanese in southern Taiwan. And I really didn't want to do it. And I said multiple times I didn't want to do it, and I still did it. You know, generally you should follow your gut in these things, but I didn't want to be the odd man out. I wasn't peer pressured, like they didn't care if I didn't go, but I was just like, I'll do it. Because I was like, I've never driven one of these before. I'm not a European or an Asian like you guys. I was like, I've never been on one. I don't just go on these. But anyway. And of course, in true Brendan fashion, I immediately went as fast as I possibly could and had as much fun as I possibly could. And there was a big curve and the roads down in Kenting are these massive, winding, well-paved roads and through the forest. And there's like a beach skirting along the forest. It's gorgeous. And there was just this massive hooked turn, and I was going way too fast. And I had to make a choice at around 75 miles an hour, and that was, do I slam the bike headfirst into a ditch, or do I skid out? And I kind of chose the ditch, and I crashed the bike, yeah. And I had to get myself to the hospital because you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I had to actually use like my arm, hang my arm over to like pull the clutch. Like I'd hang my arm here and then kind of put my arm here because I landed like right here. And when I landed, I swear to God, everything I saw like shifted so that everything up here in my plane of view and everything down here in my plane of view was like slowly twisted at an angle. It was very strange. And I did that thing you do when you get really hurt where you just pretend you're not hurt, where you go, no, I'm fine. And I kept cranking my shoulder back despite the incredible pain, because in my head I went, I'll just find a way to make this not real. Ruined the bike, obviously. I had to pay for that. Not that much, to believe it or not. And in the hospital, MRI, everything. I might put some pictures up if I could find them after I record. And the hospital bill was like $80, of course, for an MRI and a bunch of pills and a sling and all these things they had to do to me. I had torn, there's like apparently like a very thick ligament here that goes from here to here, and I just popped mine I cut mine. It was brutal. I couldn't, if there was a glass and I reached to grab it, I couldn't do this motion forever. But really a story for another time. But because of that, my right shoulder especially, you'll notice I often do this. I'm often doing this, and that's because it still feels really fucked up. But that's only one of many injuries, and really one that I don't have to worry about too much. It's gotten better. That's today's lift. So today, I struggled to write in the morning, which is not uncommon. And I ended up deciding, you know what, I'll just write my little newsletter instead. You shouldn't do things like that. You should really just suffer the not writing as opposed to going, oh, I'll write something less important, as opposed to focusing on what you're supposed to write. But it doesn't matter. So I wrote this piece and I wanted to give it a dramatic reading because it's made me laugh so goddamn much. And I thought of it and wrote it in about 10 minutes. So it doesn't usually come out that quickly and tickle me this much. So the name of this is A Fat Man with Two Swords. A fat man with two swords. So imagine for me a very fat person carrying a sword. A man. A man is funnier. A fat woman carrying a sword is somehow sinister. Now imagine he has two swords. They make an X at his back, sheathed in two red leather scabbards. He's prowling the various rooms of a filthy but otherwise unremarkable suburban home. To a ghost or a roach, he presents as a kind of threat, at least in his lumbering. And even a fat guy can swing a sword the way a fat guy can swing a bat, so it's not like there's nothing at stake here. Yet, to a flesh and blood reader, to our omniscient eye, this fat man is just one fat man that's taken things too far. Why do you need a sword, let alone two, fat man? What are you searching for? Who's to blame? It doesn't matter. The fat man licks a crumb from the corner of his mouth with the panache of an old cowboy flicking a cigarette. He is at one with himself. Fat man understands his place in the world. He has no qualms, and he is ne'er still about his quarry. From the recesses of his mind, the lifelust image of action, of dance, of beauty and motion, projects itself, and he slices the air like ribbons, nimble and perfect. Nimble as all victors are nimble. Fleet-footed. Look at the fat man move. The fat man told his mom that they were letter openers. Was $80 really that much? Just 2 months from his birthday? He doesn't need letter openers. No, but they're cool. They're cool, need he remind you? It's not about opening letters, it's about decoration. Didn't we say we ought to decorate the room? The boxes arrive. The boxes require a signature. Mom can actually tell that these boxes are larger than letter openers. But you can open a letter with anything. Anything can be a letter opener. Mom is dumbfounded, but also amused. Do not cut yourself, she says. So the fat man goes upstairs and opens the box. He pulls a blade from its sheath, and it cuts his left index finger nearly to the bone. Blood drawn of the master. A good omen. The swords were hidden from the fat man then, but only for a while, only in principle. It is a small apartment. The fat man is unperturbed. It has been sealed in blood, and now Mom is at work, and the fat man is rearing for battle. He presents himself, arms akimbo, stance wide, breath measured, hilts firm in hand, a hero poised. His bare toes grasp the thin shag of the living room floor. Dare you contest this? His zone. On earth there is no even battlefield. In hell no war is in your favor, but in heaven the light wisps and lady cherubs may tickle at your elbows and keep firm for you your wobbly cankles. So dare you contest this? His zone? The fat man draws his swords. Hell yeah. Dude, I love it so much. It's very rare I get to make myself giggle this much. What is this about? I don't know. When I was a kid, I did convince my mom to buy me 2 swords for like $80 off a random website online and I did tell her that they were letter openers, and it was for my birthday. That is all true. So I guess obviously this one's about me. But yeah, I can't get enough of it. I'm glad I got to read it out loud. It's even funnier. Read the newsletter if you will. Another day goes by. Day 19.